Hi students, in this session we are going to discuss about application of Wilcoxon sign rank test and sign test. So, we will be solving a practical problem how to work it with Wilcoxon sign rank test and sign test. In the previous two sessions we have discussed about the procedure of how to do the Wilcoxon sign rank test and sign test. In this session we will do practically how to solve the problem. First thing, we are going to deal with Wilcoxon sign rank test. The problem is like a study assessed the effectiveness of a new drug designed to reduce the repetitive behavior in the children affected with the autism. A total of 10 children with autism are enrolled in the study. The amount of time that each child is engaged in the repetitive behavior during 3 hours of observation is measured before treatment, then again after taking the new medication. They are giving a new medicine for a period of 1 week, then the data is shown in the below table. So, this tells about the data, the amount of time that each child is engaged in the repetitive behavior. We have 10 set of pair like before and after, and this data tells about the how much time has been spent by the each child for engaging the repetitive behavior. So, now we are going to work with this problem and we will be doing by step. Step 1, like we wish to know whether the drug made a difference in the performance. So, we decide to conduct a two-tailed test at alpha equal to 0.05, that is 5% level of significance, and we are going to use the Wilcoxon sign rank test. So, what will be the procedure for doing this Wilcoxon sign rank test? Step 1, we have to record the paired scores in 2 columns like x and y, and in the table 1 these appear under the column heading as placebo S and drug Y, and we can see like we are going to find the difference between the members of each pair. And step 3 will be like if any difference is 0, for example, if we come across the difference as 0, discard it and substitute the calculation and reduce the sample size n, the number of pairs of scores accordingly. So, after doing step 3, we can understand from this table, we can see for each pair we have before and after, and we have calculate the difference x minus y. So, we can see 24 minus 28 like 4, we are considering this as a large sample and we are taking as a modulus. So, it does not matter like which one is greater and which one is lesser, just we have to find the difference, and after finding the difference we have to calculate the rank of the difference. Okay. So, now we can see here the minimum difference is 3 and we are given the rank as 1, and the next minimum will be like 4 and we are given the rank as 2. Like that we have to proceed, and we can see the tied ranks are there. For example, the third and fourth we have the values as 5. So, we took the average and we given as 3.5 and 3.5. So, like this only we have to work when we come across the tied ranks. The next step will be like we are going to deal with the supply ranks to the absolute magnitude of the difference, assigning a rank 1 to the smallest and to the 2 to the next smallest, and the outcome is shown at the head rank of x minus y. So, now we can see here we are giving the sign, right. So, we have calculated already this before and this after, and we have calculated the difference and the rank, and at last we are going to give the sign, whether it is a positive sign, whether it is a negative sign. Okay. So, we are going to give like what is the difference, and we are going to consider this whether this is the positive or this is the negative one. So, that will be the step 5. So, now we can see next resupply the approximate sign of the difference to the rank of the difference. We show this in the column labeled as sign rank of x minus y, we already shown. So, step 6 will be like we have to calculate the test statistics. The test statistics will be notated as W, since this is the Wilcoxon sign rank test. This is nothing but will be the sum of ranks with the negative sign or the sum of ranks with the positive sign. So, we have to add for the values which is having negative sign and the values which has positive sign, whichever may be smaller. So, we call them as the W minus the former one, and the latter one will be called as W plus. So, W minus is nothing but sum of negative ranks, and W plus is nothing but the sum of positive ranks. So, now we can see here we have calculated the rank and we have given the sign till step 5, and in step 6 we can see like R plus and R minus. So, R plus represent the the values which possess positive sign, and r minus will represent the values which possess negative sign, and we have summed up the value, we have added everything, and we can see like r positive will be 48.5 and r negative is 6.5, and we have taken this r minus at test value t equal to 6.5. And before that we can see this, we have calculated the sum of the rank which will be equal to 55. The other way to calculate this as n into n plus 1 by 2. Here we have n as 10. So, by solving this we can calculate the sum of difference of rank. So, step 7. So, at last calculating the table value or calculated value, we are intent to find the critical value for the one tail and two tail test at the usual level of significance. So, we compare the obtained value of W irrespective of the sign, whether it is a positive or negative, with the entry in the table corresponding to the sample n, that is the number of pairs, and alpha is nothing but your level of significance, and at last we are going to tell it like based upon our alternative hypothesis, whether it is single tail or double tail, that is two tail, equal to or not equal to. So, previously we have notated as the critical value table as 2, that is represent for the critical value for Wilcoxon sign rank test. We can see from the different n is represented the sample pair, what all the different pair size, and we have calculated the alpha for different levels of alpha 0.05 and 0.1, and this is for the two tail and this is for the one tail, as I told earlier, not equal to, greater than or less than. Next we are going to make it as like how to conclude it. So, in our example we can see like W minus is less than W plus, OP people remember like it is 6.5. So, W minus is our test statistics value. So, at alpha equal to 0.05 with the 10 pairs of score, that is 8, it is given in the table because the absolute value of the W minus is smaller than the critical value. So, we reject H naught and conclude that the treatment reduced the amount of time engaged in the repetitive behavior of the children. So, what is the advantage and uses of Wilcoxon sign rank test? So, Wilcoxon sign rank test is more sensitive than the sign test. The reason is like the sign test responds only to the direction of the difference, whether it goes positive or negative, like upward or backward between a pair of scores, whereas Wilcoxon sign test will give the size of the difference, that is the magnitude of the difference. Next we will discuss about how to solve the problem in sign test for dependent sample. A social psychologist is interested in whether a short course in human relation can enhance the individual tolerance of the people of other ethnic group. So, the psychology really worried like however the intelligence and tolerance of the others are correlated variable, they are closely related. Okay. So, she decided to match 20 pairs of subject on the basis of their scores on an intelligence test. So, she used some intelligence test and she calculated for the intelligence level for that 20 pairs of subject. So, one member of each pair then take the course, then other does not do, that is decided randomly. Okay. So, totally we have all 40 subjects are then interviewed and rated for their tolerance of others on the 30 point scale, which is already decided. So, the results are shown in the upcoming table. So, it will be given as the tolerance score. Now, we can see about the sign test is appropriate here because the measurement scale is ordinal of the best. So, to use the test, psychologists assign a plus sign to a pair of observation when the member who took the course received the higher tolerance score and minus for the lesser, that is when the opposite was the case, as shown in the table will be labeled as the difference. So, now we can see here in this table we can see matched pair we have 10 and the tolerance score has been calculated for the who took the course and who does not took the course, but this has been selected randomly. Okay. And they have calculated the scores for the different courses, the people who took the course and who does not took the course, and this third column represent that whether the difference is positive or negative. So, now you can see here for the 9th value the difference is negative and for the third value the difference is negative, the remaining 8 values are positive signs. So, now we can speak about the steps. So, what we are going to do it. So, if the course made no difference, we could expect there are too many pluses and minus within the limits of the sampling variation, but what we have seen is like only 2 is minus and remaining 8 are pluses. So, in other words, the null hypothesis is that the proportion of pluses and minus in the population are equal. We are going to consider like both will be equal proportion like 5 and 5. So, we can apply the chi-square test for this type of question, like we come across like equal proportion, we can use the chi-square test which will come under the sign test for this procedure. So, the expected and the observed frequencies of the plus and minus are as follows. So, now we can see here we have expected as what 10 and 10 equal proportion, like 20 pairs are there, like 20 pairs will be like 10 and 10, they should be at equal, but what we observed is like only 3 negative and 17 as positive. So, this is observed and this is your expected. So, how to proceed with this? So, we are going to calculate the chi-square test as described, like we are going to calculate the f0 plus, that is observed and expected plus, same way we are going to have observed for the minus and expected for minus. So, from the table we can easily understand, like we have the observed positive as 17 and observed negative as 3 and expected for both positive and negative is equal proportion. So, we are giving as 10 and we have calculated the value as 9.80. So, this is your critical value. So, from this critical table value we can easily obtain the what is the critical value for the given sample size, that is 10, and at what level of significance, whether it is 0.05 or whether it is 0.025. So, with 1 degrees of freedom, okay. So, since we have only 2 cross 2, right, hope you remember the table what we have calculated, right, 2 cross 2, 2 elements in the column and 2 elements in the row. So, the degrees of freedom will be like 1. So, chi-square must reach or exit the 3.84, that is the critical value, to be significant at the 5% level of significance and 6.64 to be significant at 1% of level. So, different level like 0.05 and 0.1. So, the psychologists chi-square surpasses both of this critical value, even it may be 5% or even it may be 1% level. So, it appears that the pluses predominate because of the some systematic process. So, more pluses are there. So, perhaps that is the reason why the human relation course resulted in increased understanding of the other procedure what has been followed. So, if you use the sign test for this particular purpose, a difference will occasionally be 0 and cannot therefore be categorized as a plus or minus. So, difference what we are calculating occasionally only it will be 0 and we can't categorize whether it is a plus or minus. So, we may solve this dilemma in one of several ways, that is probably the simplest is to ignore such cases, whether if it is the difference is 0, better to ignore it and reduce the sample size accordingly and proceeding with the test on the remaining values. So, conclusion. So, how to make a conclusion for this problem? So, in our example, each plus simply indicates that the subject who completed the human relation course is more tolerant than the paired subject who did not take the course. So, it means like the people who take the human relation that particular course, they have more tolerance level when compared to the people who does not take the particular course, but no account is taken how much it has been improved, that we do not know. We are just telling like whether it has effect or not. Next, we will discuss about the advantages and uses of sign test. Evaluation of the sign test by the chi-square will give reasonable accuracy for 10 or more pairs of scores. With fewer than 10 pairs, if suppose you are coming across less than 10, we should use the binomial test in place of the chi-square. An assumption required for the sign test is that no difference should be exactly 0. The use of this method, the sign test as described here, will be reasonably satisfactory provided the condition should be like the number of zeros is small. The special advantage of the sign test or its ease of application we can easily apply, and assumptions that are less restrictive than those for the Wilcoxon sign rank test. So far we have discussed about the advantage and use, but still there one disadvantage is there. Its main disadvantage is that it is less sensitive because it disregards some information that the other takes into account. The other takes is nothing but the other non-parametric test. So far in this session we have discussed about Wilcoxon sign rank test and sign test for the dependent sample. So, first part we have discussed about the procedure about Wilcoxon sign rank test, the definition about Wilcoxon sign rank test and the steps involved how to solve the Wilcoxon sign rank test. And secondly, we have discussed about the definition of sign test for dependent sample, and same way we have discussed about under what criteria we have to use it and the different steps involved how to solve the sign test for the dependent sample. And at last we took two problems and we have solved one by using Wilcoxon sign rank test, the other one using the sign test. Further, we have discussed about the advantages and uses of Wilcoxon sign rank test and sign test for dependent sample, and in the next session we will be discussing about Kruskal-Wallis test and Friedman test. Thank you.